Hello and welcome to Total IELTS. In today's lesson, I'll be looking at all the 9 question types from the IELTS listening test. Any of them can be included in any section of the test, so you should be aware of each one. I'll give a summary of each question type with an example and tips to help you maximize your listening score. For more detailed information and strategies on all the listening question types, check out the videos here on the YouTube channel and on the website. I've posted the links in the description below. Let's kick off with multiple choice questions, which are one of the most challenging types because of the amount of reading that you need to do before listening, options with similar meanings, and the extensive use of synonyms and paraphrase. In this example, you need to choose more than one option from a list, and you can write the answers in any order. Always write the answer as a letter. If you write any more along with the letter on the answer sheet, you'll be marked incorrect. And in this one, you need to choose an option A, B, or C to complete a sentence. Read the first half of the sentence and the options quickly, highlight the key words. Remember, synonyms and paraphrase are commonly used in multiple choice, so don't expect to hear the highlighted words in the recording. For example, in question 12, the first half says, when they started, the family decided to open the park only when, and option A, the weather was expected to be good. The actual recording says, we opened to the public for just a month that year, 1984, our driest month. The key words here are the weather was expected to be good, and the paraphrase is the driest month. Also, be careful of distractors. This is when an answer is changed from what was originally said in the recording, or when several options are mentioned. So take your time and listen carefully, and don't write down the first possible answer you hear. In matching, you need to choose an answer for each question from a list that is usually labeled with letters. The options are listed alphabetically, or if they are numbers, usually starting with the lowest. Follow the question numbers for the order you'll hear the answers. You will hear the information about the people, Simon to Judith, 14 to 18 in order. However, the options A to H are listed randomly. You will usually not hear the exact words on the list of options. They will be paraphrased or synonyms will be used. Here, option E, it's engine maintenance. According to the recording, Simon's main area of work is, I only concern myself with looking after the mechanical side of things. In labeling a diagram question, there are several possible topics, such as machines, devices, and structures. The task is to choose the correct option from a list or write the answer in number gaps. This task has a list of 5 options listed alphabetically, and only 3 are necessary, and they are not in the order you will hear in the recording. Before you listen, study the diagram carefully. Pay attention to the title and the parts already labeled, as they will guide you to the missing answers. Be aware of the language to describe location and shapes. Here in question 11, the recording says, the round one on the far left is the most important one for the heating and hot water. It's the main control switch. Make sure it's on. Careful of synonyms and paraphrase. In question 13, the recording says there's a little square indicator under the third knob. That's a kind of alarm light. So the paraphrase of warning indicator is alarm light. Flowcharts show a step-by-step procedure. The task usually involves completing gaps by writing your answer, and flowcharts are particularly common in Part 3 of the listening test. Before you listen, read the steps carefully and try to predict the answer. Think about the information and the form of the word needed in the gaps. Here in question 28, the most likely answer is a noun as the gap is preceded by a. After writing your answer, make sure that it fits grammatically. The recording says you also need a timetable to see how you can fit everything in the time available. Then keep it in front of you while you're studying. So the answer here is timetable. Short answer questions can appear in any part of the test. The topics are many and varied and always require you to write the answer according to the word limit. It's very important, of course, to read and follow the instructions for the number of words you should write. If you write more than the instructions, your answers will automatically be marked incorrect. In this task, you are told to write no more than 3 words and/or a number. And in this one, it should be no more than 2 words. The instructions say list 3 advantages. Referencing nouns such as advantages, disadvantages, features, causes, or reasons are very common in this question type, so you need to be familiar with their meaning. You can write the answers in any order, but it is advisable to write them in the order you hear them. Do not change the word you hear in the recording. You will hear the exact word you need to write for your answer. Paraphrase and synonyms will be used a lot in this question type. The key word here is advantages. So you will hear synonyms such as pros, positives, on the plus side, etc. Completing sentences and a summary are almost identical. Here's sentence completion, and your answer should only be 1 word. And summary completion with no more than 2 words. The main difference is that a summary is more complete picture of what you hear, and therefore there's more information to read. Always follow the question numbers for the order you will hear the answer. Do not change the word you hear in the recording. For both tasks, before you listen, read the sentence carefully and try to predict the information and type of word that you hear. Here in question 24, the answer is most likely an adjective, since it is preceded by more and followed by than. In the recording, it says, maybe you found them different because you're a more mature student now. So the answer obviously is mature. Once you've written your answer, check that it fits into the sentence grammatically. If it doesn't, then it'll be graded incorrect. Complete notes can be found in all parts of the listening test, but it's most common in part 4. The notes are not always full, grammatically correct sentences and are often not even punctuated. Don't change the word you hear in the recording. Read the headings at the top of the page and the subheadings, as these will give you information about the topic, which can help you predict the answer. Read what comes before and after the gap and predict the type of word and information that is missing. The sentences in the notes will be paraphrased, so don't expect to hear them word for word in the recording. Here in question 38, it reads, the system for processing domestic blank is organic, and the recording says the system for dealing with the waste produced in the house, this is dealt with organically. So the answer here is waste. Completing tables and forms are very common question types in the IELTS listening test, particularly in part 1. You need to complete the gaps with a written answer. Sometimes you're required to complete the table by choosing the answer from a list of choices. Completing a table or form usually contains a lot of numerical information, such as dates, amounts, and times, so you will need to be familiar with these. Question 4 will be a number and question 9 a date. Before you listen, read the task carefully and predict the information and type of word you will hear. Question 3 will be a place and question 4 a number. While listening, be careful of distractors. That is when there are several possible answers mentioned in the recording. So be patient and don't write down the first possible answer you hear. Here in question 1, you're listening for the type of work, and the recording says man. What sort of work is it? Washing up. Woman, it's answering the phone. Man, alright, fine. Woman, and not waiting at table. So the answer from all these possible distractors is answering the phone. You are expected to spell common words correctly, and less common ones such as people's names, place names, and addresses will be spelled out for you. Here in question 10, you're listening for a surname. The recording says, woman, my name is Samira Manuja. Man, can you spell that please? Answer, M-A-N-U-J-A. Labeling maps and plans are very common in the IELTS listening test, particularly in part 2. You need to identify areas, rooms or features by selecting from options or writing the answers in the numbered spaces. Study the map or plan carefully before you listen. Pay attention to the place names already labeled, as they will guide you to the missing answers. Visualize yourself in the map or plan. Here the example states you are here, so visualize yourself starting here when you follow the directions. For written answers, try to predict the information and type of word you will hear, and check that it fits grammatically. Maps and plans often have a compass. Therefore, expect to hear the location described in terms of the compass. For question 14 here, the recording says in the southeastern corner beyond the marsh is our market garden area, growing vegetables and flowers. When following directions, trace the route on the question paper as you listen. In question 12, the recording says, next to this moving east is the large grazing area for the rare breeds. Then further east is the largest section of the park, which is the forest area.